الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أما بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألف لام ميم ذلك الكتاب لا ريب فيه صدق الله العظيم. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome back. The eighth part of the Holy Quran. In it Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions many recurring themes that are, of course, everything that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks about in the Holy Quran is of utmost importance. And amongst them, number one, is that we believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone, and that no one and nothing is ascribed or associated unto Him. And those who do so commit this act called shirk. For them, there is absolutely no forgiveness. As we were told in the fifth part of this series, that Allah will forgive everything and anything, but never forgive that individual who dies, who leaves this world in a state that they are mushrik. They are those who have associated or ascribed partners unto Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah speaks about this. And amazingly enough, when Allah speaks about this, belief in His oneness, that we worship Him alone, that we don't ascribe any partner unto Him, we don't commit shirk, coupled with this, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in a few places in the Holy Quran, and this is one of them, Allah speaks about kindness to parents. Amazingly. This goes to tell us how important it is for everybody in this world whose parents may still be around. Those of us who have our parents are very fortunate and lucky. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us the opportunity to continue to serve them, because the amount of importance, the amount of rights that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the Holy Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam have given to them, it's amazing. Allah ta'ala tells us in the Holy Quran, and this is it, that we be kind to our parents right after He tells us we don't associate anybody with Him. And from this we should understand that when Allah is giving us one injunction right next to something that is so great, this injunction too is very great. It's very important and vital that a person has very great regard, kindness to their parents. Even if our parents leave this world, the dua that is to be made for them, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions that elsewhere in the Holy Quran as well. So two of the themes, the subjects that Allah addresses in this part of the Holy Quran: one, that we worship Him alone, and two, that we be kind to our parents. Another thing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks about, this is of course something which was more common during that time, or something that it was a practice of that time, was that due to poverty, I'm not sure where in the world something like this may be happening now, but as a result of poverty, people used to bury their children alive. People used to slay their children. They couldn't afford to take care of them, therefore this is what they had to resort to. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, wait, it isn't your job to be providing, to sustain those children. This is the job of Allah. And just like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes care of every single human being on this earth, Allah is always taking care of every single, not just the human, Allah takes care of every single being, every single creation. The most generous bestower, the most plentiful giver, the provider, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah gives from where we can't imagine. This is Allah's job. Allah has taken it upon Himself to provide. وَمَا مِن دَابَّةٍ فِي الْأَرْضِ إِلَّا عَلَى اللَّهِ رِزْقُهَا. So why would a person even think about burying their child or getting rid of a child simply because you can't provide? It's Allah who provides. Sustenance from before we came into this world, when we were still in the wombs of our mothers, was being provided to us. We had absolutely no knowledge of nothing when we came into this world. Sustenance was still being provided to us. And then we were tiny little infants. Sustenance was still being provided to us. And then we became children, and then youth, adolescents, and adults. It's not us who makes this happen. It's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who provides. Every single creation is being provided for by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone. Allah provides. Imam Shafi'i rahimahullah is reported to have said some nice words. عليك بتقوى الله إن كنت عاقلا يأتيك بالأرزاق من حيث لا تدري فكيف تخاف الفقر والله رازقك فقد رزق الطير والحوت في البحر كم من صحيح مات من غير علة كم من سقيم عاش حينا من الدهر. These are words that we need to think about as well. Allah provides for you, so just make Allah happy. Allah is going to provide. Allah provides for the disbeliever as well. Those that are associating partners, those that are making shirk with Allah, Allah provides for them as well. In one narration, the Prophet ﷺ is reported to have said, مَا أَحَدٌ أَصْبَرَ عَلَىٰ أَذًا سَمِعَهُ مِنَ اللَّهِ يَدَّعُونَ لَهُ الْوَلَدِ ثُمَّ يُعَافِيهِمْ وَيَرْزُقُهُم. There is nobody more patient, more tolerant, more perseverant, more forbearant than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. People associate partners with Him. How do they dare do such a thing? How is it possible that somebody associate partners with Allah who is one? وَإِلَهُكُمْ إِلَهٌ وَاحِدٌ. They associate partners with Him. Allah still provides. When you and I, who worship Allah, who fast during the month of Ramadan for Allah's pleasure, who perform salat 5 times a day, inshaAllah every day to perform it to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah will provide. Oh yes, and Allah will provide from whence we can't imagine, from places we couldn't even dream about. Allah provides. Allah reminds us about this in the Holy Quran. Don't lose. You need to re-navigate sometimes. You might, you know when you get lost and the GPS tells you need to reroute or rerouting, that's what's needed. That's what these reminders are for. If my job, if my children, if my post, my career, my degree, my life, my this, my wife, my whatever it is, has taken me away from Allah because I'm thinking that's providing, that's sustaining, it's wrong. Allah tells us this in the Holy Quran. He provides. Leave it up to Him, and boy does He do an excellent job. Oh, does Allah take care of us amazingly. We've got nothing to worry about. Another thing Allah speaks about is murder. Murder is serious. It's one of the greatest sins that a person, I don't know if this is the right adjective to describe the word sin. Is it an oxymoron? One of the most grave sins. That's a better word. It's one of the most grave sins in Islam. And when there has been a classification of the great, the major sins, as we've been told by the ulama from the traditions of the Prophet ﷺ, included in almost all of them is murder as well. And of course, when there was an establishment of Islamic Shari'iyah, there's a capital punishment for it also. But it is a very great sin nonetheless. It is something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks about in this part of the Holy Quran as well, reminding us that this is a very grave mistake, a sin that a person can make. Then, when we do business, we've spoken about this again elsewhere. So remember, when a theme is recurring in the Holy Quran, again, that should tell us that this is something that's also very important. This is something that we really, really need to take in. If Allah is reminding us that when you're doing business, when you're weighing, when you're measuring, you've got to do it with justice. Whatever you do, it's got to be done with justice. You're not taking anybody's rights. You're not usurping. You're not oppressing anybody. No. Keep Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in front of us at all times. Whether it's something small, whether you're distributing between children, whether you're making a big multi-$1,000 business transaction or deal, regardless what it is, the believer keeps Allah in front of him at all times. He or she knows that Allah is watching, and that's it. Doesn't matter if it's something so trivial and petty. Doesn't matter if it's something so great and significant. Allah is watching. I can't do it simply because Allah is watching. That's the bottom line. I know people myself who have given up a job, or who have given up a contract, or who have given up a post, simply because they would incur the wrath of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as a result therefrom. And they let it go because they didn't want to make Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala displeased. I salute an individual like that. Yes, you could have been making big bucks. You could have been making a lot of money for yourself. But because you didn't want to displease Allah, you chose, I don't know if you might be listening at this time, but if you chose to make such a move in your life, you decided to let go of something where you know there was a substantial amount of money. You said, no, Allah's happiness and Allah's pleasure and that which Allah will reward me with in the life hereafter is far greater than any transaction and any deal that I make, any profit that I gain in this world. If you've done something like that, Oh, may Allah reward you. May Allah reward you. My words don't do justice. My happiness, I'm so ecstatic just mentioning this because I'm thinking of a few people in particular while I mention this now. If this is the case with any one of us, this is great. Keep it up. Don't ever give up Allah's pleasure for the pleasure of anyone or anything in this world. Allah comes first. And don't forget what Rasul ﷺ said. You do something, yes, you might displease the people, but you're doing it to please Allah. Allah will become pleased. And those people that you displease, your wife might not be happy, your husband, my sister, your husband might not be happy, your children probably didn't agree, your parents probably didn't like it, but you do it because Allah likes it. And that's all that matters. Allah matters before everyone and anything else. Yes, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala matters. So if we've done this, alhamdulillah. And if we're ever tested, oh boy, it's not easy. It's definitely not easy. If we ever are tested in this manner, may Allah make it easy for us. May Allah grant us steadfastness. Steadfastness at times like this, when we're tested. Is it shaitan or is it Rahman? Is it Allah or is it the devil? May Allah make it easy for us. And then Allah speaks about keeping our word. We know the Arabs to whom the Prophet ﷺ was sent, even before they accepted Islam, what the worth of their word was, how much their word, their promise meant to them. They would not, under any circumstance, you know, when I mention these points, there are incidents, there are anecdotes, there are so many stories from, of course, the Sunnah that come to my mind, but just understand that Allah speaks about this in the Holy Quran, and that's the bottom line. You don't need any strengthening, you don't need any reinforcing from this story or that. When these are points that we speak about from the Quran. This isn't some scholar put these this is a summary, a synopsis of that part of the Holy Quran. So today's the 8th of Ramadan. These are taken from the 8th part of the Holy Quran. How important it is for us to always keep our promise, no matter what. Keep your promise and understand that this is so great to the people, unfortunately, in the society that we may be living in, the times that we are unfortunately in now. Sometimes it's not so important, but it is. It is. A person will lose, even your reputation to the people in this world will go down significantly when a person's word is no longer given any worth. Allah tells us in the Holy Quran how important it is, and that's it. And Allah speaks about speaking the truth. Allah tells us that the curse of Allah is upon those who lie, and that Allah likes those who are truthful. They're truthful in their speech, they're truthful in their actions, they're truthful in their intentions, they're truthful with Allah, and so they're truthful with the people. A person isn't truthful with Allah, what guarantee we have that this person is going to be truthful to you and I? He can't keep up his word with Allah. Allah asks us, "Alastu bi rabbikum qalu bala." Of course, we had already made a covenant and a deal and a pact and agreement with Allah before the heavens and the earth perhaps were created, but we can't keep up that covenant with Allah. That was a deal that we made with Allah. If we're going to go back on that deal with Allah, imagine what we're going to do with the people. So speak the truth, be truthful, and let us not lie. Let us have great regard, due regard for our word. Know that it means so much. Allah speaking about this in the Holy Quran. And this is it's from amongst those traits or qualities that we find in the people of the past that were so beloved to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Of course, even before they came to Islam, but this is still something in Islam that's given very great importance. Another thing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks about is shaitan and his refusal to bow down to Adam alayhi salam. So Allah told the angels, listen, I'm going to create this other being. They were shocked. They didn't know what was going on. They thought, we the angels, we don't disobey you for a twinkling of an eye. We don't ever do anything that's disobedient. We don't do anything that's displeasing to Allah. What need is there to create another creation that's going to go about shedding, blood, and they're going to go about causing mischief, wreaking havoc in the world? What need is there? You've got an amazing creation called the angels. What need is there to create? But wait, Allah subhanahu Ibn Kathir rahimahullah has mentioned, Allah then told the angels when they didn't know what they were asking, they didn't know why they were questioning, Allah told them, listen, yeah, there's going to be those amongst this other creation called the human beings. There's going to be bad people. There's going to be a lot of evil amongst them. But there's also going to be prophets. There's also going to be great martyrs. There's also going to be the truthful Siddiqeen. There's also going to be Shuhada, Salihin, righteous people. Great people are going to be born in this species called a human being. It isn't just going to be evil and that's it. There's going to be great human beings amongst them as well. Okay, we didn't know. The angels, they attest. We're sorry, Allah, we shouldn't have questioned. Okay, after this, Allah creates the human being. He creates Adam alayhi salam. After creating Adam alayhi salam, Allah tells Iblis, go make sajda. Well, Allah doesn't just order him alone. Allah, we know this story. This is just something Allah speaks about in that part of the Holy Quran as well. But there's lessons in this. There's tremendous lessons. Why did he go wrong? So when all the angels were ordered by Allah, usjudu li Adam, go make sajda to Adam. They all said, they all did it. Without asking a question, they did it. Iblis thought, wait, I'm the greatest worshipper. Me? Anna? Oh, Allah hates this. This ego, this pride, Allah doesn't like this. Allah doesn't like that we look down upon anyone else or anything else. Allah doesn't want us to lose sight of who we are. We came into this world a dirty drop of fluid. We're going to leave this world with no clothes on. 6 feet under the ground is where we will be buried. And once we die, the smell that emanates from our bodies will not be tolerated by even the most beloved, near and dear ones. That's who we are in essence. And we think we're something. That dirty drop of blood that we came from, if that comes on our clothes aren't even clean. They need to be washed in order for us to perform salat in them. Yes, that is what we came from, and we think we're something. This started with Satan. This started with Iblis. Why am I to bow down to Adam when I'm better than him? I was made from fire. He's made from clay. Fire, greater than clay. I, greater than him. I don't bow down to him. If anything, he should be bowed down to me, but no, I'm not going to bow down to him. So he chose not to. Ooh, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not like this. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it was after this that shaitan became accursed. After this particular incident, after he refused to carry out the order of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that he was supposed to make sajda to Adam alayhi salam. This is not the same sajda. This is not the same sajda that we make. Alhamdulillah. This is not the same sajda that, it's amazing. I'm speaking about Adam alayhi salam, and I don't know if we know the story in detail, and this is not where we go into detailed stories, but when Adam alayhi salam was given his soul, it started, it was from the front. Yes, it was from the top. When it came down, when the soul reached about here, he sneezed. He sneezed at that time. And I'm remembering Adam alayhi salam. I'm not remembering him. I'm talking about the story of Adam alayhi salam. I just sneezed. Anyhow, so Adam alayhi salam, shaitan didn't bow down to him. That was it. Istakbara wa kana min al-kafirin. Ooh, he was too arrogant. He was too proud to make sajda to Adam alayhi salam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala kicked him out. Out he went, and that was it. After this, when he asked, why did you choose not to? Why did you refuse to carry out the order of Allah and bow down to Adam alayhi salam? He says, because I'm better than him. Simple. I'm made from fire, he's made from clay. Allah doesn't like this. Allah told him, you're going to have to leave. Wherever it is, he's gone. After he was gone, he knew he was accursed. He asked Allah for something. He asked Allah, listen, I'm going to go. I'm gone. But allow me to take others with me. If I'm doomed to hell, I don't want to go solo. I want to take others with me as well. So, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, إِنَّكَ مِنَ الْمُنظَرِينَ. Whatever it is you've just asked for, it's being granted. And so he would have the authority to come to this world and to misguide as many as possible, to lead with him, to go with him to the fire of Jahannam. He was given this authority by Allah because he is the greatest test. He is a test for every single human being, shaitan, to see if we take his path or the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks about that too. And then the chapter which begins after half of this juz, the 8th juz is lapsed, is a chapter that is called Al-A'raf. In the 8th part, that chapter, after the first half is complete, it's called Al-A'raf. Who are A'raf? According to Ibn Abbas and Hudayfa radiallahu anhu and others as well, Al-A'raf are those people that their good deeds weren't enough to make it to Jannah, but they were good enough to save them from Jahannam. So they didn't make it to Jannah, nor will they make it to Jahannam. They're left right in the middle. What's going to happen on the Day of Judgment is that there will be 3 categories of people. There will be those who are doomed to hell. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala save us. The disbelievers, outright disbelief, and the idolaters. Those whose good deeds won't take them anywhere, not even on the Day of Judgment. They will have to go over the bridge of Sirat with the other 2 categories. The second category are the believers, those who are to succeed. And then there's a 3rd category of people. So, the first category of people, they won't make it anywhere. Now, because the Day of Judgment is pitch black darkness, people will need light to navigate. We will need light to get us across that bridge over Jahannam known as Sirat. Going over that bridge, very serious. So that category of people, they're out. Then there's a second category of people, the believers. And amongst the believers, there are those that'll make it like the bolt of lightning. There are those that'll make it like a swift runner. There are those that'll be crawling and struggling. And then there'll be others that won't make it. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala save us. So as the believers are going across, as they are going over the bridge, there's another 3rd category of people that will try to go with them. And they will begin, initially, they will start the journey with them. But as the believers will advance and they'll go ahead, these people will say, wait, you need to wait up for us. We need you people's light. The light that you people have to help you navigate is what we're relying on. So if you people go, just like on a pitch black night, if you go outside, somebody's got the flashlight from the few of us. Only if this person is with us are we going to take benefit from that light. If he moves it ahead, if he advances, wait, you need to wait, I can't see anything. That's what's going to happen on the Day of Judgment. Hold on, we need some light too. They don't have their own light to help them. They're relying on the light of others. So when those people have advanced, these people need to ask them to hold on. And because those who have already advanced are allowed to, this is what Allah has decreed for them. This is one of the rewards that Allah has kept for those who did what they were supposed to do in this world. They lived in this life in a manner pleasing to Allah. I mean, this is just some of the joy that they get to experience on the Day of Judgment. These people will be told, go back and get some light for yourself, because you're not allowed to use anybody's light on this day. Only those who've established and produced light for themselves will be able to navigate. If you don't got any light, you're going to have to go back and get some light for yourself. So these people will turn back, and when they turn back to get some of their own light, unfortunately, there's going to be no light. So now when they look ahead to try to join those who've advanced, the believers, there's going to be a wall that's put there between them and the believers. So now they're stuck. They can't join the believers, and they don't want to go to the disbelievers because they're not amongst them. They had a good amount of deeds to get them here, but not so many to get them into Jannah, and they're not so bad that they need to be from the people of Jahannam. So they'll be left in the middle. These are the people of A'raf, about whom, in a nutshell, the Prophet ﷺ is reported to have said, these people, they will be held up, just like whenever we've traveled to the U.S., we must have seen it. By the way, I've been stopped on one occasion with my wife and kids, 2 of my kids. We were stopped for 10 hours and 10 minutes. And boy, it's not easy. No. 10 hours and 10 minutes with on and off interrogation is very stressful mentally. Imagine what the Day of Judgment is going to be like for these people. So these people known as Ashabul A'raf, after whom that chapter of the Holy Quran is named, the A'raf, those people in that particular area, they'll be put on hold. They will have to wait until it's done for everybody. When all the people of Jannah have been given Jannah and the people of Jahannam have been doomed to the fire of hell, these people, after all is said it's done, then only, from the ahadith of the Prophet ﷺ we know, these people will ultimately be given Jannah as well. Yes, their good deeds and bad deeds were equal. That's who they are. They're those whose good deeds and bad deeds are equal. We know when the deeds are weighed, our good deeds need to outweigh our bad deeds. But because these people were on par, that's why they'll just be put on hold. But inshallah, through the mercy of Allah, they will also be granted entry into Jannah. Then Allah speaks towards the end, the last quarter, which is kind of tricky for those of us who have memorized it. Allah speaks about stories of certain prophets. We begin with Surah Nuh. We know, the story of Nuh. The story of Nuh alayhi salam. So there were people, there were great people after Idris alayhi salam. They used to worship. Shaitan came to that generation of people after Idris alayhi salam and said to them, listen, you know, there used to be some pious people amongst you who are no longer here. Why don't you people, when you worship, just keep them by you. So what you should do perhaps is make some sculptures, make some idols, and keep those idols by you so that when you worship, they're there as well. You know, you're not going to worship them. You're just going to have them there in your presence, make them feel like they're there with you, you know. Or you can make some pictures or whatever have you. They thought it was a genius idea to make them feel like we have their presence. So they started making idols. And after this, that generation who were only sculpting, who were only creating or designing these idols, they died, they moved on. To the next generation, Shaitan came and whispered to them, because the idols were already made. He didn't have to tell them to make it. This is how Shaitan works. He's a genius. Shaitan, oh boy, does he work amazingly. Based on our levels, our statuses, and our nearness to Allah, he uses different tricks. So he came to this group and he said, listen, you know these idols? These are idols of very great, revered, honored, dignified people. You people should actually, just bow down to them. Why not? Just bow down to them. And that's it. This is the beginning of idolatry. This is where idol worship begins, during the time of Nuh alayhi salam. So Allah sent Nuh to them. Oh Nuh, go tell them this is not what they're supposed to be doing. They're supposed to be worshiping Allah. Ya qawmi a'budullaha ma lakum min ilahin ghayru. Worship Allah. There's only one God. There's only one deity. The only Allah deserves to be worshipped, and nobody else, nothing else. This worship of yours to idols, oh, this is very problematic. It's very, very trouble. It's very great trouble. You better stop this. And if you don't, oh, you're going to get it bad. Allah is going to send down a punishment. You know what, Nuh? Why don't you bring that punishment down? This punishment that you're telling, all right. So Nuh alayhi salam is ordered by Allah to go far from the sea in the middle of the land, start building an ark, a big ship. Nuh alayhi salam starts building an ark. People come and they make fun of him even more. Oh, Nuh, what are you going to tell us to do now? Oh, what's going on, Nuh? You've got an ark in the middle. They used to mock him, yes. They used to make fun of poor Nuh alayhi salam. Oh, he wasn't poor. He was a great man. 950 years, my friends. We asked you to go for 40 days, brother, 40 days. 950 years, day and night. When we go for 40 days, we only do gush for 2 hours, if that. We do gush for an hour max. He did it day and night. Inni da'awtu qawmi laylan wa naharan. Day, night, day. That's all he did. But anyways, and only a few, remember, like 80 or so accepted. After this, Nuh alayhi salam starts building this ship in the middle of nowhere. And then they make fun of him even more. Oh, what are you doing, Nuh? It's kind of strange. There's no water here. What's the point of this? I've been ordered by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and so I will do. After this, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells Nuh alayhi salam to take all pairs, a pair of each of the animals, and start boarding the ship. And then one day, that fateful day, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala orders the water to start gushing from an oven inside of Nuh alayhi salam's home. And then from there it begins. And the water would just come out from the skies. It would come from every crack in the earth. Water, and more water. Until that flood destroys every single disbeliever who thought Nuh alayhi salam was a joke. And only those who believed in Nuh alayhi salam They were saved, those who boarded the Ark of Noah. Everybody else, including his wife and his son, they too were destroyed. That story Allah speaks about in the 8th part of the Holy Quran. Moving forward, Allah speaks about Hud alayhi salam. Hud alayhi salam's people were called Ad. Ad were mighty, powerful, and strong people. They were humongous, they were gigantic, enormous in size. If we can recall, we told you the other day about the Amalika, the people that Musa alayhi salam, he had sent those 12 chiefs to, and only one of them popped out and he arrested all 12 of the chiefs. He was so massive, humongous in size. He is from the Amalika. The Amalika are an offshoot, an offspring of Ad. Imagine what their forefathers Ad must have been like. So Ad, to these people Hud was sent, listen, I know you people are strong. You guys can make homes out of mountains with your own hands. It's fine. You people are a little too wealthy and arrogant. That's not cool. What you people have to do is turn to Allah and thank Allah for your strength. Thank Allah for whatever He's blessed you with. Don't you see what happened to the people before you, the people of Noah? Oh, they were destroyed. Yeah, you're stronger and mightier than them, but don't think you're strong, you're greater, mightier than Allah. They said, Man ashaddu minna quwwa. Who's stronger than us? Who's mightier than us? Oh, you know what? Who just bring the punishment. You're telling us we're going to get punished if we don't believe in you? We ain't going to believe in you. Where's the punishment? Bring it. Ooh, he waited. He said, okay, Allah has promised that He's going to send the punishment. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala send upon them as a punishment for 7 days and 7 layal, for 8 days, 7 nights, 7 nights and 8 days. Allah sent a wind that uprooted and destroyed everything, and they fell there dead like hollowed palm tree trunks. That's how Allah describes them in the Holy Quran. The end. Then Allah speaks about Qawm Salih. Pretty strong people, pretty mighty people as well. Allah sent them, Allah sent to them Salih alayhi salam. Salih alayhi salam goes to them, you people need to turn to Allah, stop worshipping idols. By the way, Qawm Ad also worshipped idols, which is one of their biggest wrongs. Qawm Salih, they were doing a little bit of this and a little bit of that, but they were very arrogant. They didn't want to listen to Salih alayhi salam. There was always that few that did, sure. And eventually Salih alayhi salam says, listen, you people, you need to turn to Allah. They said, listen, Salih, why don't you just I can't go to any details right now. This is just to give us an idea. Allah speaks about this in the Holy Quran in the 8th part. They asked Salih alayhi salam to give them a sign. Salih alayhi salam said, all right, what do you want? They wanted a particular, specific sign. What do you want? We want from this mountain. So Madain Salih, that area where Salih alayhi salam, Al-Hajr is what it's known as, like hundreds of meters north of Madinatul Munawwara. This place has got a lot of mountains, okay? From that mountain, Salih, we want from a crack inside of the mountain, a pregnant she-camel should pop out. Oh, okay. So Salih alayhi salam actually asked Allah for that miracle to happen. And Allah manifests that miracle. And once it happens, He says, okay, so this is a sign of Allah for you people. A pregnant she-camel pops out of a crack inside of a mountain. This is what they asked for. This is what they got. Now you people take care of this she-camel. Some of them saw this sign, they believed. Others, they hated this she-camel even more because they thought of Salih. When we see the she-camel, we think of Salih. We don't want that to happen. So instead, they started hating it even more. Now, the she-camel wanted to eat and drink from the water and so on. So there was appointed for each one of them. For the animals of the people of Salih, they had 1 day for their animals to drink. And for this she-camel, there was 1 day. 1 day the she-camel, 1 day their camels and their animals. And this was going on like this. People didn't like this. Why should this she-camel get... You asked for the she-camel, you got it, now live with it. They didn't like it. 9 from amongst them, unfortunately, they plotted, they conspired to kill the she-camel. And by the way, it had given birth to a baby calf. They killed both the mother and the baby calf. They were killed. After this, Salih alayhi salam said, you are in deep trouble. It's 3 days that I give you. Within 3 days, know that the punishment of Allah is coming down. They said, all right, bring it. Within 3 days, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent down an earthquake, an enormous blast that destroyed every single one of them. And then Allah speaks about Qawm Shoaib. We'll speak about that tomorrow since it goes into the 9th part. Stay tuned later on this evening, 11:30 p.m.